Action!
What up, what
Bueno,
up, what up, what up?
bueno.
greetings
6:15,
and
we on time.
salutations.
We on
Yeah,
time.
a little bit, a little bit.
Yeah.
We on CPT time.
Man,
Yes, sir. What's going
all right,
on, peoples?
so to share it to Facebook, I don't even we want to hit nothing. Shit, we get boot me off so fast.
Share the link with your friends.
Yeah. Before we get started, it's your main Fontaine, the quarter point DA. We got Mecca, the feelings wreck up, and we got Dr. Phil to make you feel better after the man done wrecked your feelings. Don't forget to hit the like and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you know what I'm talking about? Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button for us. You know what I'm talking about? So we can get that donation for Mecca's beard oil. Um, I think I think it's got almonds and peas in it. Uh,
Yeah, appreciate
this a bitch. No, I'm playing. Now, what's up, though?
it. Shit, man, I can't call it, man. Slow mo.
Yeah. So what we on today, gentlemen?
What we on, Mecca? You be the main man.
Oh, my bad, y'all. We on part two. Knowing the history of your club or your social club.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. I was actually
What
talking
up,
to
Vincent?
I was actually talking to the homegirl uh, the other night, and we was talking about that as well. You know, because she's in a social club. But even
Right.
with social clubs, a lot of them they don't even know where they come from. They just came to party.
Of course. Of course.
Yeah. So what you
That's the way
say?
it should be, man.
What you say, Mecca?
Fortunately for me, I did ask a ton of questions, so I was able to, make sure I know the history of my club.
Right. All right. Uh, yeah. A lot of people don't though. I'm gonna keep it 1,000. They don't know where they came from. They don't know how they got here. They don't know who they really connected to and how the OGs came about. You know, who was friends or might have been blood cousins and things of that nature.
But also too,
Right.
like we talked about this shows ago. And when we were at the studio in Inglewood, um, if the internet is very useful. It's a very resourceful way to get information on what you really want to know and dig deep
Yeah.
and how deep you want to go. And I say that because I'm once again I'm using myself for an example. Even when I first came over here, the first thing I did while I was riding with them was I actually went on the internet and started to look at and understand who they were and what was their get down. That's what
Yeah.
I did. So it really wasn't too hard for me to make that transition, except for the fact of the colors. And once Mr. Asshole over here spoke to me about the colors, you know what I'm saying? So he was like, let it go, just go ahead and do your thing. So that's what I mean by knowing your club in history, because knowing your club, it'll benefit you in the long run to where you won't fuck up
Yeah.
or give that club put that club in a bad situation because you didn't do your fucking history.
Yeah.
And that's just what I did. I can't speak for everybody else. You know, like I said, reading is fundamental, but some people don't know how to read, let alone use a keyboard.
Man, well, you know what? For me, um, I was fortunate to meet some bros probably a year before I even really came onto the motorcycle set. And So as I got to talking to them, even with the different colors, like you mentioned the colors, even with the different colors in our patch, I know what they all mean and what they represent, you know. But there's people in this club that's probably been here longer than me and don't know what that means. But I ask
Oh yeah.
questions, you know what I'm saying? Because I wanted to know, you know, what made you choose these colors? And this is what these colors represent, you know. And you know, like most people just think our colors is black and gray. Shit, we got about 4 colors in our shit, you know. But that's our general color. You see what I'm saying? So it's important to know the history of the club you ride with or you socialize with, you know, for the SCs. But what's more important is that you get educated on the entire club. Because even some of the OGs sometimes get kind of relaxed and forget. They don't forget the rules, but they don't apply them sometimes. You know what I mean? And then that's how we kind of get broken down. And then the history of the club doesn't get transferred over to the next people or the newcomers, you know?
Right. Uh huh. Yeah. Go ahead.
Uh,
I'm looking.
yeah. Only thing I'm gonna say is I get it, but not everybody's on the internet. What do you do with them? What if my club's not
Ask.
on the internet?
You
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 go
talk to
around and
those
ask
members,
questions.
those
Yeah.
OGs,
Exactly.
the founders.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm saying some of them don't even do that, and that's the part I'm saying needs to happen. You see what I'm saying? Because they don't know where you came from. Some of their founders came from somewhere. You know what I mean?
Oh
If you
yeah,
Right.
came from,
yeah,
and if you came from nowhere, somebody gave you a leg up in here. You know, like we was talking before about paying homage to the big brother or whatever the case may be.
yeah,
Those clubs, they got a big brother or big sister somewhere too. And they have to be the ones that have to, figure it out. That's why sometimes you go around a club that you're supposed to be cool with, and they'll be looking at you funny
yeah,
because they know you came from them. You may not
yeah,
know it.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? But you know what I mean? They know your club came from them. And sometimes they feel a certain way if you don't acknowledge that, at least shake a hand and say what's up. You know what I mean?
yeah,
They'll feel some way. Just like, my man Quick Pick said, some people aren't interested in knowing the history, which is a shame. Lord knows I tried to teach history in my former club. Well, it happens. You know what I mean?
yeah.
yeah.
Sometimes you'll get some people that just want to come in here and strictly party. They ain't worried about how I got here. I'm at the
Right,
party
right,
though.
right.
You know what I mean? That's all we worried about. I'm partying. You know what I'm saying? But
That's it.
sometimes they gotta know, because in certain instances it can save you. You know what I mean? And in
Yes.
other instances, you know what I mean, or help you out and whatever. But it's just good to know because at some point, a lot of clubs are connected at some crossroad down the
Absolutely,
biker history line.
absolutely.
You know what I mean? And that's just how it goes. So Shelly says to talk to the OGs and give you the unknown info. I'd be glad to give it to you because they uh, relive the golden years. Yeah, yeah, they do.
Oh
Because
yeah, I agree.
they,
I agree with that. You
yeah.
know, it's just like I was out at a club yesterday, and one of the younger dudes came in, and he made a comment, and he said, "Man, if you don't go 100 plus, burn rubber and pop willies, this ain't the club for you." And I laughed because it came to me like, "Bro, do you know the history of your club? How your club got started?" You know what I mean? I understand you young dudes are a little more wilder than some of us older dudes who just want to go fast and ride. We don't want to have one wheel on ground, you know. And he didn't know. He didn't know how his club got started, and he's been there 4 years. You know what I mean? And
Oh
that was
wow.
just a conversation. You know, uh, some people, as she said, they don't want to know. They just see it as another way to party with a group of
True.
people to get along with. You know what I mean? Some of them saying, "Hey, I can go over there and I ain't got to worry about being shot at because this ain't gangbanging," and they don't care about the history. They come in with their own limited knowledge. You know, but for me, getting the history not just on my club, but on a motorcycle set. And when you talk to some of these OGs, and every time we talk about OGs, you only think about one really, he
I
rests
know.
in peace. You know what I mean? Because he didn't have no problem with lacing me. You know what I
Of
mean?
course not.
Or he would
Of
tell
course
me,
not.
come here, man. Let me tell you something, you know? And it's another brother that's out there that ride a trike. And he's like, man, anything you want to know, come to me, man. I am 73 years old. And I'm like, damn. See, I've been doing this damn near 40 years. I'm like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? But if you always want to go to the popping clubs, a lot of OGs at clubs is more laid back. And that's where a lot of knowledge is. So for me,
Right.
I try to be where they at because I know they don't want no problems going on.
Right. But I mean, even with some, even like I said, even the popping clubs, you came from somewhere.
Right.
Oh yeah, most
I mean,
definitely, hands down.
you didn't just pop up and all of a sudden start stomping ground. Somebody gave you a foot up or some type of edgeway in this thing, and that's the
Absolutely.
part I'm talking about, that people don't recognize those relationships because again,
They
the
don't know.
big brother club, they know. It's the new cats who don't. You know what I'm saying? And that's how the shit kind of get fucked up. And that's why I say it's better to know because you could actually be building relationships and bonds and things of that nature. You know what I mean? With the club that you think you're supposed to be standoffish with, or that you thought you were supposed to be standoffish with.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? You think it's a beef, but in reality, again, this nigga looking at you funny because you ain't said what's up and you came from us.
Facts. Facts. Yeah.
You know?
And that's just when you ask questions. When you don't ask questions, how the hell you gonna know anything?
Exactly. It's the
And
same
You know what I
thing,
again,
bro.
mean?
What?
the mindset is different. They're not here because there are a lot of people here that's lifers. And I don't think people
Yeah.
understand what that means. And then there's
Yeah.
people that's here, it's a hobby. You know, you get to come out on weekends, go fast, pop willies, burn rubber, pull up with 23 members. Yes, that's great and all. Not taking nothing away from that because they make this set exciting at some points in time. But just knowing the history of not just your club, but like you say, the Big Brother Club or how y'all got started, you know, what some people had to go through in the 50s and 60s just to be a black motorcycle club on the set. They don't care to know that.
No, no, no,
Yeah.
not at all.
And at the same time, I think they got to understand that we get the popping wheelies and doing 100 miles an hour and all that. We all did it, and it was niggas before us who who did it.
Yo,
So,
yeah.
you
Even
know what I'm saying?
better.
It's like,
You didn't invent 100 plus,
yeah, at all. At all.
you
And there's
know?
no
Yeah.
knock. And there's no knock, I mean, against nobody. You know what
Right.
I mean? But they got to understand there are some clubs and chapters, they all do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They all kind of do that. But I get it. Like, but when you don't know, I guess, kind of what this is really supposed to be about, that's an accolade for you. You know what I mean? Uh,
Yeah.
but,
No, but
like I
knowledge is
said,
power because I can say this I got my highway knowledge from OGs, and you
mhm,
do as well. You know what I mean? And some things is critical. They don't know what it's like. I don't
but,
really know what it's like because I know the protocols on how to respect. But when somebody walk you down, there's a whole lot of videos out there. These 1%ers in different locations kicking dudes off their bike. You know,
right.
so
But
you know,
I mean, but if the history of your club means you ain't riding nowhere, you ain't got to worry about it. No, I'm playing.
yeah,
If y'all got to see, learn the history. You know what I'm talking about? If you learn the history of your club
exactly.
and the history of your club don't go nowhere, you ain't got to worry.
You
You ain't
ain't
gotta
got to
worry
You know
worry
what
about
I'm
about
nothing.
saying? Yeah,
Ain't
you
gotta
ain't
worry
going
about nothing.
nowhere. You know,
it. So we say they don't take the freeways anyway, huh?
man,
Man,
check it out.
man.
They don't even try to be on them like that. But it be what it be.
Yeah, I'm listening, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's in some cases the outlaw club started from the mom and pop club.
Most definitely.
Sometimes, that's for
Yeah.
sure. Or,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? A lot of members in the outlaw world came from a mom and pop club from somewhere. You see what I'm saying? Or vice versa. The mom and pop club came from the outlaw or the big
Yep.
brother or whoever was the biggest dog in the yard. And some people, like I said, don't have no loves of that. They just come in. This your prez. That's your vice president. This
Right,
is where the
right.
clubhouse is at. This is where the parties is at. And we on,
Let's get it. Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But again, but like I said, kind of knowing your club and your history and where you come from can sometimes save your motherfucking ass. And it can save you from embarrassment. Like I said, when some people act like the OGs or some people don't want to talk and share knowledge, we didn't heard that before. You got to
Multiple
know,
times.
yeah, but if you know who you connected to, the one you connected to have no problem doing that. And they'll tell you where your club came from, even if you don't.
Yeah. Yeah. Because also last night when I was out, I was talking to a brother from Black Knights.
Hmm.
And his sister from the Deuces came up. She said, "Can I get a hug?" At first, I'm looking at her like, "What?" You know. But I realized she's like, "Can I get a hug, brother?" And I hugged her. Right. I know that that's our brother club. You
Right.
coming in, if don't nobody teach you that, she just wanted to hug because she know we brother club. You know what I'm saying? And
Mhm.
nobody teaches you that. You sitting around. So what did I say? I said, "Hey, bro, you know that's our brother club. For those who don't know." But my members knew because we talk about it in our meetings. We talk about a lot of
Right.
things in our meetings, and knowing the respect level of the MC set is high. A lot of people just, like I said, you just want to ride. That's fine and dandy, but you
Right.
still should know the protocol. You know,
Right.
I had people pull up on the side of me. I'm by myself, and it's usually people that's just regular bike rider, and they be like, "I can go ahead," and I'd be like, "Shit, you going faster than me? Go ahead." Shit.
Right.
Matter of fact, you can clear this lane up for me. You know what I mean?
Oh,
But
I ain't gonna lie. Look, not to cut you off. I was coming the other day, riding. A brother the son came up on me doing seemed like 200 miles an hour. I was like, nah, go ahead, my nigga. He was on a brand new bike. But that
yeah,
nigga was out of there. I thought somebody was chasing him. I started looking back, like, hey, you okay, my boy?
do I
That
need to get out the way? Shit.
man, look, that boy was sliding. But no, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying, and that's just kind of, you know, knowing what your club is about in your history. You should feel honored first of all to wear your patch, but it
Right,
don't give you the right to be out there trying to bully people, especially if that ain't how your club moves. You can get your club in a whole lot of bullshit because of your attitude, and you don't know the history. So
right.
you know, always
But
be
like
respectful.
it
It's like
always
my
it
mm,
starts from the top. You know what I mean? If the head person is not giving you or breaking down knowledge down to the next person that's under them, then that's going to be a problem. So then, if you're coming to a club and you're asking questions and they can't give you those questions, the answers to those questions,
Yeah.
and they just slide it on to the left because they really don't want, they don't know. Then it's like, then what do you do then? Do you ask somebody outside of your club about this motorcycle and shit? Because there's nobody inside your club. Shut up. There's no one in your club that's giving you the right foundation as to how you should present yourself and how you should act. Then it's up to
that,
you to think twice and say, damn, I don't know if I want to be here no more because I
yeah,
ain't
that's
learning
for
shit.
sure. But that's for sure. But when you sitting there talking about the history of a club, I can't go ask nobody else the history of my shit. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna do that unless it's
Right. Right.
my
Right.
big brother or something. So that's
Yeah.
totally different. How to respond and behave or whatever you want to call it on a motorcycle set, etiquette, that's completely different as to where did this patch come from.
Right.
No, yeah, I
Yeah.
get it. I get it. But I'm just how to conduct yourself. You know
No,
what I
and
mean?
that's what I'm saying. And that's what I'm saying. You can damn near learn that from anybody. You know
Right.
what I mean? What I'm getting at is, I mean, people need to know the thing on your back, where'd it come from?
Yeah. Right. Right.
You know what I mean? Who the fuck
Mhm.
started it? Who helped you start? You know what I mean? Because like I said, just like my man right here says, in his MC is the second oldest in Arkansas, at least on the black set. So
Right.
I'm sure his club had a hand in, a foot in, you know what I'm saying, a little
Yeah.
opinion in that club. And in a lot of clubs that came from under them. That's all
Hmm.
I'm getting at. You know what I'm
For
Yeah.
saying? And
sure.
do
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So do those clubs know that that's what happened, and that's the history of the game. That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. Where it says to you need to know where you come from. You know what I mean, and know your club. It's good. It's cool to know other clubs too, especially the ones that you know that either known for problems or known. You know what I mean, that type of shit. But you need
Yeah.
Yeah.
to really know your own shit. You
Yeah.
know, and a lot of
Absolutely.
motherfuckers don't. They just know what color it is.
Yeah. No, for real, real shit. And it's critical because depending on the club, you can find yourself in the wrong place in a different kind of noose. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm
You
saying.
know,
Hell yeah.
you don't know the history. You just out there popping willies. And you wheeling down the freeway past the wrong people because you don't know the history. They could take that 100% disrespectful. And knowing
Mhm.
your history, but it's like everything else, man. People don't want to read and people don't want to ask questions.
Not at all.
And
Not at
personally,
all.
I remember, and I ain't gonna say the whole thing, but when I came in, I was like, yeah, I learned most of my stuff from Wooty Wop Wham. Fontaine was like, yeah, but that's the wrong person because that's not an MC. So I had to release all that and obtain some new information. You feel me? And it's critical to know,
Very. Very.
you know,
Mm. All right. I
especially if
mean,
your founders are still around,
yeah,
they can
for
give you some
sure.
history that some other people can't. So yeah,
Yeah, and that's
But then
why I
again,
said,
when you,
go ahead.
no, I'll just say real quick. But then again, like you just said, knowing what that particular patch means and where did it come from.
right,
Yeah.
absolutely,
It's like you, when you ask the right questions, and like you said, far as the internet goes, well, there was none. So then you got to go to the right person to ask that question. And there are several OGs that are in from this club that can lace you with a lot of knowledge as to where, who, what, when, and why. But
yeah,
then again, how many people are actually going to ask you, I mean, going to ask those questions to actually learn and understand what it is I'm getting myself into?
right,
And at the same
Not many
time,
will.
there's new clubs that ain't got no motherfucking OGs in it. These niggas
That's
just
why I said
talking
our
about.
club, nigga.
But that's what I'm saying. We ain't talking about us. We talking about outsiders. We
Shit.
talking about
I
anybody.
know.
Oh
I
yeah,
know.
fuck that, nigga. I'm talking about a club who started motherfucking 3 years ago. What
Well,
OGs in that
yes.
motherfucker?
There
Yeah,
ain't
ain't not
none.
a one. Yeah, not a fucking one.
Shit. Yeah.
ah,
Yeah.
shit,
So they the motherfuckers that need to know where that patch came from and all that type of
yeah,
shit. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
agreed,
Just
no
that
doubt,
simple.
no doubt.
Yeah. You know what I mean? It ain't it ain't up to Phil, it ain't Phil's job to come ask all OGs what the not his
What that
job.
club history is, yeah,
Yeah,
no,
not his
and
job.
unfortunately, bro, a lot of people don't ask questions because a lot of people is hands on. And that's good when you're building some type of materialistic shit. You don't want to learn the rules by bumping your head, not out here. You want to ask questions so you know in advance, and then you want to be able to regurgitate that to your members or
Oh,
to
for
somebody
sure.
who asks you, when did y'all get started? How long y'all been out? Who's your founder? Who's your national? You know what I'm saying? Why do we have a national when we are only local in LA? Make it make sense.
But
You
that's what
know,
I'm saying. You starting to confuse some people because y'all about to confuse some people.
I'm
somebody,
just saying,
somebody been on the set for 2.5 months. He got 2 chapters. He about to ask how come they ain't got no national come tomorrow. Watch
Stop
this.
it.
He finna call
Stop
his
it.
friends.
man.
Friends, how come we
Stop
ain't got
it.
no national? Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Stop it.
Let me tell you,
You know,
we got listen, we got to dumb some shit down sometimes on here.
that
Y'all starting
that's
to
why you
dig too
here,
deep.
devil's advocate, to
Yeah,
make
yeah,
sure we
yeah.
get it right.
Yeah, y'all starting to dig too deep. Some of these people finna get confused. They finna start
Man,
asking how come they ain't got no national grand poobah? How come they don't have
Man.
a who is
man,
the grand poobah of the club?
He said the poobah.
Yeah,
man.
don't do yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. But again,
Yes,
yeah,
indeed.
yeah, you supposed to, figure out where you come from. You know what I mean, and things like that. And like I said, a lot of clubs, some clubs been around 30 some odd years, and you still came from somewhere.
Yeah,
You know
absolutely.
what I mean? And some people hold true to that, some don't. And things of that nature. But to me, it needs to happen, or it should happen. Especially with the newer club. You can't come out here, just beating your chest so fast. At some point, somebody gave you a hands up, you know, and know where your club come from. You know what I mean? Because that's where your
Yeah,
relation is at.
absolutely, absolutely. XO said the leaders need to lead and teach. I agree
Oh
100%.
yeah.
But like you said, what if they've been around? They started the club themselves. The club is 9 months in, and they never even had another club before that, or they didn't learn nothing in the club before that they left that they didn't get along with. You know,
Yeah,
they got to get that history.
yeah. Some, gotta take the hard road. Some new clubs road is bumpy because they don't like to listen, or it's not even they, it's the
Right,
president aspect. You know what I
right.
mean? And they gotta go through a few trials and tribulations before they kind of wake up.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? And either go ask for, some type of help and guidance, or you just kind of get put in place and then you learn that way.
that's rough.
Yeah, and that's gonna be kind of
Yeah.
volatile, you know what I'm
That's
saying?
rough.
Yeah. But it happens. I'm just saying it happens.
Yeah, it happened to me.
It,
Shit, it's rough.
yeah. Yeah. It happens. And at
You
that
know?
point, when that happens, it's like, that's how the club don't last no more.
Yeah,
Everyone start to, jump ship and shit like that.
Uh-huh.
So,
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but again, if you know where you come from, how the club started, and who helped you get a leg up, that's what I think is the ultimate of most importance. You know what I mean? Because the ones who probably helped give you a leg up probably look at you like you ain't shit, and vice versa.
right, right, right.
You know what I mean? Because sometimes, especially, ain't no sometimes, we keep it 1,000. On the bike scene, it's really a respect game type of thing. And I get it. Some people like, well, I don't like this nigga, or I don't like this broad, or whatever the case may be. But it can't be like that. You know what I mean? If you don't like them, sometimes, we have a saying, and I'll say it our thing, it's like if you don't respect the man, respect the position. And
Uh-huh.
sometimes it's the same with the club. I may not like a couple of your members, but what I mean? I'm not going to disrespect your patch or your club just off the gate.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? So,
Which is like she said too, you can't be afraid to keep on learning. And that's a golden rule with us. You, each and every day you wake up, you learn something about your club. You should.
yeah, yeah. No, I agree. It's just like I asked Fontana a question today. I mean, it's more of a universal thing, but still, I'm going to ask. If I don't know, I can give a partial answer or no answer. And then I turn around and ask, and then I'm told what I was thinking it was, and like, okay, you know what I mean? Like you
all
said,
right.
it's about respect, and even for your own club, If you respect your club, you'll learn its history. You respect that
Right.
patch
And
on the
it
back, you'll learn what it means.
and it goes a long way too.
Yeah,
And the thing is, like, some clubs, I get it. You don't have, or you didn't have like certain schooling. You know what I mean? For some of us, we were luckily taught and kind of, dealt this deck of cards by the Flintstones, by the ones who started it. You know what I mean? That's why I say the Flintstones.
yeah,
Those who came back from the bedrock ages, and luckily we still have some of them around. You know what I mean? To kind of keep us grounded as far as how it's supposed to go. Now, newer clubs and things like that, you're not gonna have that. And
yeah,
at the same time, once they teach it to us, for a lot of us, it's instilled in us. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
you can't shake it. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
No matter how much we would want to, or even if it irks us and bugs the shit out of us, we still kind of ride that line because that's what we were taught in this motherfucking game.
yeah, yeah.
As much as we may want to stray, it's just not gonna happen. Um, and that's what I'm saying when it comes to like learning the game. If you know where you come from, those that you came from have no problem helping you, you know,
All right.
in this motherfucker.
Yeah, agreed. One said, "Damn, it sounds like I need to learn some more history about my own club." You
True.
know? Yeah, I
I mean,
mean,
just for sure.
yeah, gain as much knowledge as you possibly can. And sometimes, if you feel like the OGs ain't gonna give it to you, go to one that's right next to the OG. He been around, maybe not from day one, but maybe day three. You have to go talk to that dude. You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, because when you're seeking knowledge, man, you're gonna talk to multiple people in your club.
Well, you have
Yeah,
You know,
to.
and when it's true knowledge, it may be said a different way, but it's all the same. You know, and you have to learn that because again, you riding around and you don't know the history and you find yourself in the wrong place, man. You know?
yeah, yeah. And, like I said, I remember years ago when I had, before my barbershop got burnt up, I was leaving the shop, locking it up, right? And I'm going to leave, and this girl walked past me and she looked and she was like, talking about my club. She said, "You with them?" And I said, "Yeah." And she looked at me, she said, "You a little young, ain't you?" I said, "Bitch." You know what I'm saying? At that time, I'm in my 30s. So I'm like, what the fuck is you talking about? I mean, like, I
Right.
ain't no child. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not in my 20s. What you mean? So I told her how old I was. She goes, "Yeah, okay. You a little young to be in that club, ain't you?" I said, "Damn." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, and I knew we had older members. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
Like, believe me, when I came, we had some old cats up in there. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
But you know what I mean? But we had again, like I said, it was a different type of school for us. So,
Yeah.
but
No. You got to, man. You gotta keep learning. Can't be afraid. It don't stop, you know.
hmm
And when you
and
obtain as much as you can, you also gotta learn the motorcycle set period. You should
yeah,
get that from your originals too, but you know, and it's not easy, man, because too many people walk around in pride. I don't want to ask this
hmm
because it ain't gonna sound right. Fuck that. I'm gonna pick up the phone. I'm gonna call if I don't know. I'm gonna text them. Hey, man, what this mean? Why is this? And I learned that, bro, for real. When you go to different states, you see different type of percentage patterns on people. Shit, I'm in a whole nother state. Hey, Fontaine, what this mean? I don't
Yeah,
know. I want to
yeah.
know.
Right.
I want to know. You know what I mean? Um, More so, I have the knowledge. Or what it means, and he gives it to me. Like this is what that means, and this is why. Okay, cool. Now
Hmm.
I can explain that to somebody else. But again, a lot of people's not asking. They can see something that say 89%, and they just look at it and keep going. I'm like, hey, what the fuck 89% mean? You know what I'm saying? I want to know. You know?
but at the same, yeah, and at the same time, like in my little 10-year and rap sheet of this of game, not only did I, learn from some dudes who started this shit in the 50s. But my connections and friendships and relationships outside of us, you know what I
Right.
mean? That plays a big part, because I know
Right.
OGs from other 1% clubs who laced me
Yeah.
with a lot of game over the past 15 or 20 years and vice versa. So when it comes to that shit, and you ask me, believe me, it came from them because
Right.
I got
Right.
friends over there. So I'm gonna ask them. I'm not gonna ask no outsider. I'm not gonna ask, and that's even if they can tell me, you know what I mean? Because I respect it if they can't. You know what I mean? And I
Right.
tell them from the gate, if you can't tell me, don't say shit. You know what I mean?
Right.
But
Right.
I ask them simple shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because I don't want, I mean? I'm not trying to get in your shit and I'm not trying to get no one in trouble over like petty shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I ask them like on that level. And if they can tell me, cool. If you can't, that's cool too. But it's, because you asked me per se.
Right.
You know what I mean? And things like that. Outside of that, nobody would really know.
Right.
Some stuff is explained all over the internet. You
Right.
know what I
Right.
mean? You can find it and they'll tell you. Or sometimes you go ask the person. They'll tell you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If it's not the actual whatever, 1% that most people are, traditionally used to.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely. I'll stop calling Mecca because he on the road too damn much. You know.
This nigga.
First of
Shit.
all, when I'm on a roll, you sleep, homie. You ain't gonna answer the phone.
Oh, is that why you called at 5 in the morning, homie? Did you call me last night? Man, it's 5 in the morning, man. It's still nighttime to me.
Man,
But you have to ask, man. I mean, like, even if you ask your own club member, if they don't know, go to somebody else you think you know. Don't stop there. Keep going until somebody give you the proper answer. Because again, knowing your own club is critical, man. But knowing, well, if you don't ride, you don't go nowhere. I understand you won't really trip it, but I like to get out and I like to know where I'm going. And you know, back in the day, maybe I said the sergeant at arms used to call ahead and let people know things like that.
right,
Shit, I want to know. I need to know.
right.
As you should, because I
You
did.
know, yeah. Like Fatima says, some knowledge is universal. And it is
Oh
Hmm.
yeah,
when
for
it comes to
sure.
this shit.
Yeah,
Uh,
hands down.
not yeah, not pertaining, certain club bylaws, shit like that,
Right,
but the overall Viking knowledge of how you're supposed to conduct yourself and how others are, that for sure is.
yeah, for sure.
Hit
Shit.
that like button,
So
you guys. I
yeah,
appreciate you.
yeah. So I think we on for the day. We gonna
Subscribe to the
hop.
channel.
Yeah,
Notifications.
Share. Knowledge
Please
is key.
do.
We like the likes and all that, but want to give you some knowledge.
that's it,
And I'm
man.
a
So
pupil. I ain't the teacher. I'm a pupil.
oh, come on, Dr. Phil, brother. Come on, Doctor.
You know, I want to learn more than I teach, man. I will share, but I mean, I don't know, man. Just knowledge, man, and being able to know how to conduct yourself around people, man. It's for me, it's exciting. You know what I mean? And to be outside and meet people. It's just like when I went to Texas,
Mhm.
met people there. You know what I mean? People knew we was coming. People called ahead. And I'm like, shit, okay, cool. When
Right.
you don't know, you see them over there. Oh yeah, I ain't gonna go talk to them. Man, how y'all doing? I'm gonna shake your hand. Hey, bro, Dr. Phil, man, yeah, one of my brothers called from California, said he was coming up. Man, I'm here. If you need anything,
Right.
bro, I'm here. It's like when I was out of
Right.
town not too long ago. What I do, hit y'all. Hey, man, where's Whoopie Whoopie? This and that. Go here and look for him. All right, cool. I'm going.
yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? If you don't get the knowledge, you won't know to do that. Not everybody passing out chips and talking about you got a free pass to our club. You know what I mean? So it's about who you know, and it's about gaining that knowledge.
Very much so, buddy. Very much so.
Fuck around walking the wrong club.
He said walking there and
Ah,
get
shit,
thumped off, get
man.
thumped on accident. Like, oh shit, oh shit.
You ain't supposed to be here.
Man,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Walk in,
shit,
everything stopped, dog. What the fuck?
man,
Yeah, it'd be like that.
yeah, shit. Find yourself getting
Yeah.
carried out on your tippy toes. I seen a dude get carried out on his tippy
Ah,
toes, man. You know what I mean? They wasn't having it.
Yeah, the real talk. Real motherfucking talk, buddy.
What
Shit.
she say? Not everyone has the DA to call, Dr. Phil. You and I are lucky to be able to ask questions. You damn right. And get an
Yeah,
honest answer. Because he can be brutally honest to a motherfucker. Boy, god damn.
hey, look,
Shit.
sometimes I think it's a bill collector calling me. That's why I'm playing.
You know?
I'm fucking.
Yeah.
nah, you ain't playing. You dead serious, homie. Cut it out, bro.
Yeah. Oh, well, But I'm gonna answer those, that ask me. I don't need nobody to get thumped on accident. You wanna call me later, man, the nigga jumped me. Oh,
You know? Shit.
I called you 42 times and you still didn't pick up. Damn.
Your number
sleep.
looks like a bill collector. I'm sorry, man. You know?
I'm asleep. No, but
Man.
all right,
Yeah,
Shit.
well,
you know.
like
No,
we say,
learn the history of your club. You know it, honor it, respect it, abide by it, you know. Because your ride depend on it. It truly does.
at the same
Truly.
time, know where you come from. Your
Yeah.
club came from somewhere. If you're not
Yeah.
an OG club who's been around at least 30 plus years, you came from somewhere.
Yep.
Just figure it out. You know what I mean? And sometimes, it'll get a little better.
See,
You
that
know.
ain't what he told me. He told me
What he told
somebody
you.
gave y'all the okay. Damn it. Pay homage to those that gave you the okay. Shit.
Yeah, for
Well, they
sure. That's what I'm
should.
Yeah.
talking
Yeah, they
about.
should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
But they
You know?
saying.
don't.
Yeah. They don't. Exactly.
But they
That's what I'm
don't.
saying.
You know?
They would see that they more connected than they know. You know what I mean? Or that they
Because they feel
can
they're bigger than the program. That's what I
if
think.
if if you knew where you came from.
Hmm.
You find out somebody uncle was in somebody else's club and all this other little nonsense.
Yeah.
You don't know what's popping.
Yeah. You know?
Not at all.
All right. Well, we up out of here, y'all. I'm hungry than a motherfucker. And I don't care what nobody else got going on right now. They come up. Gotta keep it 100, my boy. Gotta keep it 100. All right, like we say, hit
Yeah.
the like and subscribe button. We will see y'all next Monday. We will be in the waiting room coming soon. I just gotta, we gotta work out some bugs.
Technical difficulties.
Yeah. So we're gonna figure it out. But once we do that, we will let everybody know that we on. What's up, my bro? What's up with you? But we out of here. You know what I'm saying? Look at that, Mecca. I done gave you a little break. You know what I'm talking about? A little
How you
15-minute
gonna
break.
give me a
You know
break,
what I'm
bro?
talking
What are you
about? You
talking
you
about?
you can go do your calisthenics now before you go to bed. You understand what I'm saying? You can go pull out the yoga mat.
Oh
You know what I'm
man.
talking about?
Yeah,
Not the yoga
whatever,
man.
homie.
You dig.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah,
Mhm.
Nigga
you
said
got
the
a whole
calisthenics, man.
go do the calisthenics. You got a whole yoga mat waiting on you. You know what I'm
You
Man,
talking
just
about?
mad, homie.
Yeah,
he did with some cookies
yeah.
to yoga man, huh?
He did. To a yoga mat and yogurt, nigga. Good night.
Please don't forget to like and subscribe to Bikes in the Hood podcast channel on YouTube. Your support is greatly appreciated.